Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Ryan J. Downey with Knotfest, and I'm here with the cast of the wonderful new horror, kind of funny film, Feed Me. What's up, everybody?
Hey.
Hi.
How you doing?
Thank you for having us.
Hey. And if you wouldn't mind, each of you will just start here and go down, if you could tell us who you are and who you play in this fine film.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Neal Ward, and I play Lionel Flack, who is the cannibal-esque gentleman in the film.
I'm Samantha Loxley, and I play Olivia, who is on the sad side of the film, I'm afraid.
And I'm Chris Mulvin, and I play Jed Freeman, who Lionel Flack destroys and actually eats me all over. So it's
Yeah, this is my on-screen husband.
that's it. Husband and wife.
And I want him to be my on-screen husband.
I'm right here.
And without getting into spoiler territory, the movie doesn't necessarily turn out well for everyone seated here.
No, it's not a spoiler for me. I've checked this with the directors. I am dead before the film starts, that is not a spoiler. That's hopefully intriguing for some people.
Yeah. You're like, I'm in this movie. My character's dead.
Yes.
The whole movie.
Yes.
It's quite
Proudly
weird
dead.
because every film I've ever been in, I die in. So like this one, I'm not going to say if it is or isn't, but you know, it's nice to have a bit of ambiguity at the end of it.
Indeed.
Or in the middle, or at the start of whether I'm alive or dead.
So let's talk a little bit. I want to get into your relationship to the lovely co-directors of this film and getting into this process. But before that, if we'll start, if each of you could tell me a little bit about just kind of getting into acting and falling in love with film and TV, and at what point you sort of knew, like, oh, I don't just love this. I want to be like part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I started off as probably most actors sort of do. I was in school. I was very good with like creativity. I always like to make sort of little woodwork projects and things like that. And my dad had helped me out do sort of little things. So I'd taken woodwork for like our GCSEs in England, and I took that as my main sort of thing. And I was doing that, and then found out there was like a 4-hour exam or a 6-hour exam, and I was like, well, I'm not academic here now. So, and then my friends were coming out of drama that they'd taken, going, we get to swear, we get to sort of laugh, and the teacher doesn't really give a damn, and we're just running around causing havoc. And I'm like, I like the sound of that. So I started doing that, and then from there, was doing a lot of theatre at the time back in England. And then from there, I got my first short film, I think, down in the south of England in Bournemouth with a huge film school down there, a university. And I just fell in love with the process there. It was very down-to-earth people. When you make films, you work with crew, and they're all very sort of like actual normal people doing normal jobs, woodwork, electronics, and things like that. So I just fell in love with that side of it, and the process where you could literally act and leave stuff at the end of the day. You could do a segment of the script and then just leave it alone and never revisit it.
Versus theater, where it's like doing the whole thing and over
for sure.
and over.
And theatre became so monotonous for me because I got bored after the fifth night, because I already knew what was going to happen. I knew what he was going to say. I knew what she would say to me, and it'd be But you still bring the same intensity, but with filming it was more, you had 10, 15 attempts to really go to town and have options. And then, that was my way of doing acting and creating these characters, and then just really exploring them several times, and then leaving it at the door, crossing off each page of the script as the day goes till you've got that last page, and then that last page is the page you keep, because that's the final one that you've finished on the film with. So that's me.
So for me, going back to school days, all my family are medical, so I'm a big science nerd, but I couldn't deal with the idea of people medicine, so I was always going to be a vet. But I also really loved drama and theatre, so all the way through school I did all the sciences, like advanced physics, chemistry, biology, and then drama. And that's all the teachers said, like, that's quite a weird mix, but I didn't want to let it go. You know, I really loved both.
Animals can be very dramatic.
Oh yes, tell my cat that.
Yeah, exactly. My dog.
But so when it came to sort of crunch time of uni and further education after school, there's a lot of pressure, like academically, to do the right thing, go to med school, this kind of stuff. And I was like, well, no, acting isn't a hobby for me. It's not something that I want to do once a week, or something that I just think is a throwaway pastime. It's a genuine thing that I wanted to do, and I felt like I can't give that up. You know, I had to take it further. So then, I went on to eventually get into drama school, which it took me 2 years. So in the meantime, I was like working and stuff to save up because it ain't cheap. And I'd started some modelling and stuff then, but even then that was very much, I loved it, and it was experience with cameras and sets and stuff, but it was very much a job. I didn't
more
want
of
to
a means to
stick
an end.
with that. Yeah, and then went to drama school for 3 years. And ever since then, it's been the roller coaster of an actor's life, you know, having 15 jobs that aren't your real job and coming home, learning your lines for an audition the next day. And I've got to say, like, I do have a lot of love for all the different types of acting. So theatre, I love that thrill of being on stage and having the one chance to get it right. Like, unlike Neal, I quite like doing it time and time again. I mean, after 6 months doing a panto, you know, sitting in a fat suit with a mole in the face, you know, like waiting for the pantomime horse to come away. I did actually play a giant baby once, which was that was something. But yeah, I love the stage. I do love commercials. I know a lot of people don't think it's real acting, and maybe it isn't, but there is a certain charm to it, and they're always something completely bonkers that never makes any sense.
They pay well as well.
Oh yeah.
I've never got one.
But then, I mean, for example, I did an advert for a bingo company, and I had to be dolled up like somebody off Love Island and sit in a pool, and I had to fart, which actually, and obviously that's got everything to do with bingo. No, there was actually a machine underneath me that a tech behind the camera had to press the fart machine. It's quite
Versus
hard.
we require an actor who can fart.
Yeah.
Multiple
The
takes.
audition process. Can you fart on demand?
Wait. Yeah, but then again, moving into films and having that more sort of, especially with close-ups, having that intensity where you can really be more subtle and more real. Even though obviously with theatre you can go down the real route, but they have to see it. You know, so that I've got a love for all the mediums of acting. That's me.
Yeah, awesome.
And with myself, started off at college. I hadn't done anything sort of like drama-wise myself. I was actually doing sort of creative fine art photography beforehand, and then after getting on stage, doing an audition, because I also do sort of singing on the side, and then being able to get into a musical theatre performance, that is where I found my drive as well. I was like, oh, this is exactly where I want to be. And after that, doing a couple of things at college, I studied at Bournemouth as well. So when you were saying, literally, I was at the Arts University Bournemouth, the same like-minded people, just the creatives, fell in love with it, and then taking up as many sort of like short films, things like this, just to build up that profile as well for your showreel content, everything, credits as well, and then doing the process of finding a London agent as well, and it's a long time period as well of just trying to get that, so you can get that work coming in and stuff. And then also social media pages as well. Like myself, I was following a director called Patrick Ryder. And then this is how I've met these guys, and also Richard, for the first film that I did with Patrick Ryder, The Code. And then after that, built that relationship with you guys there, and worked on multiple things as well after that. And then, just been sort of doing bits here and there, and living the, whatever happens
The
will
dream.
happen. That's it, the dream life of like, whatever will come up and stuff like that. So, crazy roller coaster.
Que sera, right?
Yeah.
Well, you segued brilliantly into where I want to go, so we can start with you and keep going. You mentioned a little bit, about connecting with the director over social media. It can happen that way now, kids. So how did this all lead you to where we are right now to making this film?
Yeah, so I mean, the first one was The Code, where Neal as well, we met each other, became that relationship with Richard as well, sort of meeting them, and then afterwards it was auditioning for their previous film, which was Hosts, and unfortunately wasn't able to get that one. But then afterwards, for this film, literally, they were sort of doing the castings as well, and they were like, oh, we could like talk to Chris because we obviously know him, trust as well. Is
Sometimes
so
they
key.
say, this isn't the thing for you, but we might have something later, and it's a
Absolutely.
lie. Sometimes they say it and it's completely true.
That's
So-
it.
Actually, I think their words were, you know who'd be perfect for this? Chris Mulvin. Where's his number? Let's get that out.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then since then that's how that kind of relationship started with me
Yeah.
as well itself with them. So, and I've always wanted to work with Adam as well, seeing the different elements with Adam. Know exactly how amazing Richard is as well, working with him, and also Neal as well. So and then Sam as well on The Point of No Return.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
Don't mention that film.
It was a war film that all three of us were in some
that we
degree.
did. Yeah.
It was an experience.
It was indeed.
It was
what's-
war itself.
Yeah, it was a golf course in Leicester in England, not the Eastern Front. But
And I'm not really Russian.
Just want to touch back.
Acting.
I'm in the middle of Russia. No, I'm not. But with just touching on what Chris said about hosts with the audition process, myself, Richard, and Adam always felt awful about this because we were casting all the parts, so we thought Chris would be great because for anybody that doesn't know and hasn't worked with Chris, he's one of the most amazing people to just work with, and just in general. Always got a smile on his face, always encouraging, always there and above and beyond. So we kind of wanted to bring him in on hosts, and then I'll take the blame for this from the guys. I
my
worked
God.
with
The truth comes out.
Josh Herdman of Harry Potter, who plays Goyle, and he was asking what I was up to. I said, I'm just in the process of doing this, like we're filming this. You wouldn't be interested, would you? He went, yeah, no, I would. So then we had to have that discussion, which you have to do in film.
Absolutely, yeah.
A Harry Potter actor in there could bring attention to the film, which is a thing that producers have to think about. And as an actor, I hate having to make any kind of decisions like that, which luckily I didn't have to on host. I just went, my friend might be interested, what do you want to do? And then he came back and said, yeah, I'll be interested, sent the script, yeah, I like it. And then he got booked for something else that he had to go out and do because it essentially paid more money. And we're all in it as a business as well.
It is a job at the
Yeah,
end of the day.
exactly that. Yeah,
We felt
A,
so
a
awful.
job an actor, as they say.
Exactly.
So then when we'd said this to Chris...
I'm a bit of an Anglophile, if you can tell.
Oh, sweetie.
But the thing was, we had to break that news to Chris, and he just took it in his stride as like, I completely understand. And then that's it makes our job easier then. But then, as I say, he pulled back out and we went, Chris, are you available? He went, oh, I've got another job now.
As soon as they called, I was like, yeah, don't worry about it, it's absolutely fine. They were like, he's actually pulled out now, if you want it back. And I was like, oh no, like, straight away. But, no, it's...
just wanted to make sure that, because it's not that it was just
Not
literally
at all,
down to
yeah.
Yeah,
absolute
sure.
circumstance,
Yeah.
because
Makes sense.
We've been waiting for ages to work with Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of you can work with the greatest actors on the planet, and it helps when you're one of them. But you have to make everything else fit around it, and this was the perfect thing because Chris does a lot of comedy. Everything I've seen Chris do is very comedy based.
And you are funny.
Yeah. And then we were actually working together on this, and I don't usually do comedy. I usually do unhinged, Tom Hardy, John Bernthal style stuff. And then I was in the comedy seat more this time, and you took the serious side.
contrast now, like completely swapping over. So this was like quite a challenge for me, myself, doing the serious depression sort of thing, but then also that swap over as well from what you've done as well. It was...
Well, I'd done a lot of the comedy stuff with Rich and Adam, and again, segueing into that, what the question was, I'd done a couple of episodes on their channel with one of my lesser known characters, which is Nigel, with a guy that talks like this, yeah, like he's from England, yeah, but he sells weed on the street, stuff like that, yeah, so like basically, yeah, gold teeth and everything like that, yeah. And that was my only piece of comedy I'd done for a while, like since I was at school. So these guys, they create crazy characters in their YouTube channel, and then Nigel got brought in and he had like a little puppet dog. Winston, a little puppet horse called Winston, which was like his equivalent of a Rottweiler or a pit bull, but it was a child's toy on a lead, or on an iPhone cable, I think. That's it.
And he also went in the front of your basket on your bike, didn't
Yeah,
he?
he did.
He's very well behaved.
Because we did
As
do
one
some
does.
music.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have seen it at Knotfest, but yeah, we did two grime.
I'm going to watch it now.
We're going to show you. We did two
Number
grime.
one in their own category.
Pretty much, which
Which is,
3 views.
parody grime, I think.
Pretty much parody
Parody
grime, where
grime.
we just took the mick out of like everybody like this, like
Yeah.
and then just made really crazy out there
It's
lyrics.
actually really good.
It was. A lot of people like it because we set ourselves a task, I think, of writing, recording it, and then filming the music video in London, and we did that, and then we made a second one, and then I think we got too busy after that. But that's So the element of comedy there has been explored a hell of a lot more with this film. First film, Host, was very serious. Took ourselves very seriously to try and tap into serious horror, and then this time it's the guys have gone back to what they were doing with the channel, which is adding that element of their humour, which
And like personality as
Yeah,
well.
for sure.
This
Yeah.
one's a lot more of.
And they were
it's a
saying
bit more
Host was
zen.
kind of an invasion of the body snatchers, kind of. So the acting was even very more sort of.
we were
Yeah.
very deadpan,
We were
weren't we?
sort
Like,
of we're almost like robotic, kind of like puppets, kind of thing.
It's a shame though, because I worked with you a lot on that. Because every scene I was in on Host was with you, and then this one
Yeah.
I didn't even have a scene with you.
No.
Well, she's dead, so.
Yeah, she was dead.
Yeah. You could have told me in advance, but I died.
And I don't want to miss how meta it was when you mentioned Johnny Bernthal.
Literally, we've just come from having a chat with Lou Temple, who's a friend of Richard Adams from a film that they were involved with before. Rich was a DOP on it. And we've just come from a coffee with him this morning in LA, because that's what you do in LA. You go and have coffee in the morning and talk. And he's just been talking to us, and I suppose from our three point of view, to have someone who I grew up watching him in Devil's Rejects, 31, Rob Zombie films, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and to sit and have him speak so highly of all of our performances and their direction and their story that they've created. And he just said, I'm good friends with John. And I'm like,
What's he doing right now?
I have cheekily just asked him if he could get the film to him, because I listen to John's podcast. I'm a huge
great.
fan. I said the odd tweet on commenting on it, and I never get anything back. But maybe now that might happen. But he's a huge influence for me, and the influences in this film were mainly him to start with, for the intense scenes that occur, which I do draw from him and Tom Hardy in their physical unhinged presence.
Two of my absolute favorite actors.
There we go, yeah. I mean, John's incredibly internal and external, and Tom Hardy's the same. Tom Hardy does that thing where he'll talk about something and bring it back to the person, and I've always done that with mine since starting screen work. But yeah, for John to see, if you're watching John, I mean, I don't know if you are. I mean, hopefully you're a huge Knotfest fan, which I hope you are. That was a huge part of my influence on this as well.
And hopefully you'll be the Punisher in the Daredevil series that's coming out.
I don't think I could take it if it was. I couldn't take it. I'm never going to beat what he does with that. And, but yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Cheers, indeed. And so that leads us to your introduction to all of these cast of characters.
We mentioned hosts. That's where I met them all. So Neal actually suggested me. So I'd met Neal a couple of years before that, and when Neal had the part, and you suggested me for them because they needed to find a lead lady, and so I actually did a self-tape for them. They loved it, but I didn't get the part. And
I pushed for you heavily. I pushed for you heavily on
This actually isn't an interview; it's a setup. We all got together and we were going to.
Table of hate back to me.
Yes. So, but then the other girl that they booked, something fell through or whatever.
She was a diva.
The whole thing was going to be night shoots, and I got we were starting on the Monday, and I got a call on the Sunday or the Saturday night saying, are you free next week? 'Cause we sort of actually like to give you the part. So it was kind of similar to what they did with you. You can have it. Oh no, you can't.
Look at what you could have won.
like a cat with a ball of yarn.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, to be a ball of yarn. But yes, so I was sort of saying, and I'd read the script. Well, actually, no, I hadn't. I'd only read the scene that they'd sent me for the thing, the self-tape, sorry. So I said, okay, can you send me the script? And it was really long. And he said, don't worry, just learn the first 21 pages, 19 of which are speech. Because tomorrow night, that's when we start shooting at 9 p.m.
We're starting with your 19-page monologue.
Yes. And
no pressure.
And this is the intro when when you first meet the characters. So I was like, okay. So it turned out, and I didn't know, apart from Neal, who I'd only actually met you a few times before that even.
It was your mutual friend, or our mutual friend, April, and then it was at a party there, and then it was at a screening, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and
there was just a few occasions, but we never worked together. We just knew of each other's circles and that kind of thing. Yeah. So I turned up, didn't know anybody, sort of sitting there like, hello, I'm the lead. Nice to meet you all. And then, trying to remember everyone's names, getting them all wrong.
And you're like, can I do the Mickey Rourke where I put my lines on
in the coffee mug? Wasn't that Marlon Brando in the Johnny Depp film?
Yeah.
Or the lines in the coffee mug or something.
Yeah, or the Johnny Depp with the earpiece, allegedly.
Yeah. So then, then first day, got through that first night. And I mean, when you're doing night shoots, you always go a bit crazy anyway. But the next day was the first chance I got to read the rest of the script. And the more and more I went, I was thinking, oh my God, what's going on here? But I'm in it now. So that's how I met them all. We got on really, really well. That whole shoot, everyone was in the same boat in terms of mental capacity declining the further into a 2-week night shoot that you can get.
Yeah, but which is good for the performances in this film.
Definitely.
Good for the soul as well.
And then, so that was my first introduction to them and all the crew. And we'd all kept in touch since then, because we had to do the final 2 scenes 9 months after the original shoot of Hosts to finish the movie. So seeing everyone again then, it was like it's cheesy, but it was like a big fat family getting back together again.
It's very cold though. It was very, very
It was
cold.
-5 or something, but that's -5 Celsius. So
the weather was cold, not you guys.
Hated each other by the 2 weeks.
And then after that, again, I briefly worked with these two on the war film that we talked about. Sorry, I'm moving this all over the place.
That's what
we worked briefly on that, and then this would be the next project after Host, and there was a lot of the similar crew members, which was nice to see. It was great that I could actually act with Chris, because we didn't have a scene together in the other film. And now here we are.
Here we are
in LA.
Fest.
Beyond
Fest, Knotfest, all the fests.
So many fests.
Just doing all the fests. I got to ask each of you, as you found out sort of what the subject matter was here, what your I mean, you talked about it a little bit, what your reactions were to like, oh, this is the film we're making. What's that like? Knowing that it's going to be polarizing in the way that like some people are going to be like, I love this concept, and some people are going to be like, why would you make a film of this?
It was interesting. Like even when I received the script the first time as well with Adam, I was hooked straight away.
And it's something that really happened. So,
absolutely, the
concept,
identification as well of like, geez, this actually happened somewhere as well. So that kind of drew me in more as well. I was like, oh my God.
Let's just clarify that. The events in our film didn't actually happen play for play.
Right.
Inspired,
but the idea, the premise is a real thing.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. So it was, and I fell in love with that straight away. The arc of it as well, just travelling through, because we'll always get scripts and stuff where we're like, oh, okay, this is a little bit boring.
How much are you paying me before I say yes? I'll do it.
But absolutely loved it myself. And then just that prep as well, because like Neal said, I've always sort of done like comedic sort of things, clowning performances and stuff, and this was the challenge for me, just that depression side, going into something quite dark, which I'd never done before, so that angle as well. So I was just loving the challenge itself and also the script as well. So
even if it was a challenge to you, it came across effortlessly, because the good thing about having to be able to work with Chris is that we do just get on as normal, and then we're just doing silly Blackadder quotes and just doing everything, so many funny things in between takes. And even with this dark subject matter, that there were some very dark moments. I know Chris has a couple of moments in the film that Chris takes himself to. We observe him taking himself to a different mindset, and I had a couple of scenes equally as well. To watch someone that you've got a lot of time for outside of the work that we're doing is always good with all of us. Like the Rich and Adam's processes with directing and the writing processes, and then again on set with Sam, with Chris, and the other amazing cast, Nadia.
Anto
and Hannah, and everybody on that. There's no weak performances, and that we're all very strong actors in our own rights, and we all bring something different to the table, which is what's beautiful about doing screen, is that we all have different personas and we're all playing these different characters equally as important, and then also so different. And that's what makes this film so interesting to watch, the roller coaster element that we have behind it.
Oh yeah, the characters in it, they would never meet in normal everyday life.
No.
But somehow,
If you meet
they end
someone
up
that
in
I'm
this
playing,
batshit
then you got to
crazy
run. Lionel Flack is someone that you don't want to. It's like, I saw a meme the other day of someone that looked like the guy in the Dharma series. And someone said, this guy's just offered to buy me a drink, and I'm getting a bit woozy. It's just a random guy in a burger joint.
Or the fizzing pill. No,
Yeah, but if you meet someone that looks like me in this film, and with the hair and the moustache and the glasses, then you don't talk to me.
That's time to pay the tab and get out of that bar.
You paying the tap by.
So what's this whole experience been like, knowing that, how well the film has been received, as all this momentum's been building, and then having the premiere at Beyond Fest, and then, knowing that people are going to be able to see it streaming and everything pretty soon. I mean, did you ever expect that this would be the film that would kind of take on this sort of life and bring you here?
I always think if you have no expectations, you never get disappointed. That said, you always have a secret little expectation in the back of your head. Like after an audition, you have to forget about it, but secretly you're still thinking about it. I mean, it has been crazy. I mean, to get a couple of festivals would be great. I think at the moment we're on 22 or 23. And I mean, regarding...
Maybe if we can get into a film festival or two, or 22.
Yeah, or 10 times
22
that.
good ones. 22 good ones.
It's not my parents playing it in the backyard inviting the neighbours over.
I think we've got a couple of them, but...
but it's, especially with the subject matter, knowing that there's people out there just as... twisted as some of us are.
We're doing really well in Spanish-speaking countries, and South American countries all went for it. We've got one in, I can't say the names.
Chile.
Can't say the names, but Mexico, Chile, Argentina, we've got Puerto Rico, and then we've got 3 big festivals in Spain. Whereas hosts, we didn't travel so well in Spain, I don't think. So this was such a surprise for us, because we really wanted to do well in Spain, because I think all of us are fans of Spain and the Spanish.
Also for the holidays, it's a nice place to go.
It's not a bad place to.
I mean, this is not bad either. This
is the best. This has been.
It'll do.
We were saying earlier that just being here with you guys and Knotfest HQ is. Yeah. It's a box ticker being in LA and being able to come and speak to people like this, because this is the first video interview of any worth. And walking in here and speaking to you guys and just giving us the opportunity. And the opportunity has been...
Very happy to do it. The movie's right up our alley, and stuff
that's being in person as well after the 3 years of I mean, Zoom's great, but it's...
I was about to say Zoom was great as a temporary fix, but nothing compares to actually seeing people in real life and talking.
And it is, and again, we were all from backgrounds of. I'm not from an acting background or performer background. My father worked very hard over the years at Rolls-Royce, and my mum didn't work for a few years because of the problems I caused of being born. But so I'm not from any kind of background of performers and those silver spoons, as people would say out there. But we've worked very hard. I know us as actors and the boys as directors, and it is hard when you're at the bottom or start at the bottom to try and get somewhere. So this means the world to us with you guys giving us this opportunity. I mean, I know the film's good. The film's very good.
It's great.
It's amazing. So for you guys to jump on board with us and give us that praise and encouragement and exposure, I mean, it is, like you say, how would we expect this to turn out? We never thought we'd be sat here in LA getting our flights all paid, business class. Wasn't business class. But that's a dream come true, and most actors want to tick that LA box, and to be brought out with just me saving up 20 grand to come out here for a month. It's amazing, and we're so humbled by it, and everybody that we're meeting, all the guys at XYZ, James Shapiro in particular, who has just believed in us and believed in the film that we've made, and
he loves the film almost more than we do.
Yeah, I mean, I can't watch it anymore because I've seen it about 60 times, but he has a faith in this, and that the film industry seems to all lean to one way, and everything's the same, and all the horror films that come out are all the same. They're all this bleak. I call it vanilla horror. It doesn't mean the films aren't good, but it's easy watching, and then there's jump scare elements, and then really eerie elements, and really psychological studies. Whereas this is just so much fun. It's just up, down, left, right. What
It's
the hell's
hard to
going
And
on?
it's
I mean, what genre?
unsettling, but in a way that keeps you captivated. Like that's
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when the film industry and what's popular at the time leans so forward one way, people start to yearn for what it used to be. Like The Evil Dead's, where it's horrible and scary, but then at the same time hilarious.
Yeah.
And we wanted to do that. The guys wanted to set out to add that element of humor into their work. And
very Sam Raimi, very early,
Yes.
early Peter Jackson.
Yes.
Like a lot of that.
And there's just on that note, there's some light elements in there because we haven't mentioned the other cast member who is Bermuda, the
fish.
goldfish, who was sorry, it's just nice to have a fish on screen.
Yeah, and you did end up working with animals as you had originally.
And they were all
the whole
extras
long
because there wasn't one that was the main Bermuda. There was 4, and they were all extras, and they were all fighting in the tank.
the
over
different
who
demands.
was doing what scene.
Yeah.
It was
But Bermuda, they were all called Bermuda with varying numbers. Bermuda 1 was definitely the show pony. He knew his angles.
When you had
It's
to have
actually
4
she was
because
a she.
they're only allowed to they're only allowed to work a certain number of hours. On
That's
set.
yeah.
exactly
That's
that.
what
Yeah,
you
to be
switch
fair.
But they only remember that they've worked 20 minutes. So we got about 26 hours out of one.
That's the
fish.
best spontaneous joke I've heard in a month.
I think I'm very proud of
Well
it.
done. You should be.
Keep that one.
I'm ready.
Yeah, if you guys
I'm ready.
start doing junkets, that can be like your canned
For sure.
fish shore. Yeah, I love it.
beat
So
me.
I had to make it worse. So I love what you said about expectations, where it's like you don't go into it with any expectations because you don't want to be disappointed, but also in the back of your mind. It's like,
Yeah.
I just watched a couple nights ago. There's a great new documentary about Sinead O'Connor, and there's a clip of her on like doing some English TV interview, and they're predicting that her album's about to debut at #1, but they don't know yet.
Yeah.
And she says this, very lovely thing about, no, I don't care about it, and I'm proud of the album regardless, and this and that. And then the interviewer says, when do you find out whether or not it's #1? And she goes, 10 to 4 on Sunday. It's like that same mentality where it's like,
Yeah.
you want to be reasonable with your expectations, but in the back of your mind, you're like,
Well, we were saying this the other day. It's kind of like you make a film that's a huge hit and everybody loves it. That's great. And that is great. Business-wise and career-wise, it's great. If you make a really bad film, that could even go a good way as well. Like you can make things like The Room and then everyone just jumps on and loves it and then it's so popular.
Or Sharknado.
Sharknado.
yeah,
But then you can also have
a franchise now, Sharknado.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
they're
they're
on like
making,
7 now.
making money on the fact that people would say they're bad films, but people love watching that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So me personally, I like the idea of that if we're making this film and it's going to be polarizing, the discussions that come from, say, if I went, I hate that film, and you go, well, I loved it. The discussions that come from that are extremely
Yes.
healthy. And if
It's so much better than like, it's fine.
And
Yeah,
art
it's
should
okay.
be
because you forget about it.
controversial. I think
Yeah.
art, most all great art really is.
Art
And
should,
hopefully
art
we've
should
done
provoke
something.
and inspire,
Yeah.
and it should come from a place of authenticity. That's all I ask from it, whether I like it or connect with it. And yeah,
That
it's,
said,
there's-
don't go out eating people.
but yeah,
Not
not
authentic.
inspire in that way. Inspire to make another fun movie like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's there's nothing worse. I was talking about this with your 2 co-directors. With a record, like I'd rather hear something where I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is horrible, or this is the greatest thing I've ever heard, than just hear something and go, yeah, it's cool.
Can hear the
forgettable,
influences,
dismissive. Yeah, sounds like everything else that I kind of like.
I call that being beige. And
Beige, that's
Yeah.
perfect.
I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
even
Vanilla
though
or beige.
Jed's character is quite down, he's definitely not beige.
And it's good
Like-
like contrast as well, where it's just that depression, then suddenly this character as well. It's a nice balance between it, so it
Yeah.
works.
There's never a dull moment in the film, and that's what we can honestly say is it gets through everything you need to know very quickly, and then gets to, as one of our writer friends who gave us some notes on the script initially and the edit, should I say, is it's get to the meat and potatoes, and the film gets there very quick, and then it becomes really fun. It's really gruesome, then really fun, and it's up, down, left, right. You don't know, you can't predict what's going to happen next with what we did, and that's a testament to what the guys do. Is making things. You don't want to go, oh, I can see that coming, and then because it's so absurd. And someone commented that the film is beautifully gonzo, and I love that. The last time I heard gonzo was
Hunter S. Thompson.
Hunter S. Thompson, and to be compared like that with that thing is is beautiful. And again, Johnny Depp was a huge influence for me younger with the characters he created when I was a kid.
For sure.
So there's a huge element in there of
Got his start in A Nightmare on Elm Street.
exactly. And yeah, it's just you don't know where this film's going to take you to whilst you're watching it. It's the things that happen with myself and Jed in the scenes that we did. There's some beautiful moments. There's some really sad and some really heartwarming moments as well between the two of us, because the premise is I'm trying to eat him.
And I'm allowing you.
We've got a lovely little buddy scene. It's kind of like a little buddy scene where we're just sort of like having a heart to heart because we've had too much liquor, and it's
And
just
you start giving him advice.
fashion advice.
Exactly. That's like, no, don't wear that. No, Jesus. That's it. And it's, that nice development through it as well, with those crazy characters in between. It does work. It's amazing. So.
And again, like I say, with Rich and Adam, we wouldn't be here doing these interviews, talking to you guys in LA. The height of our careers at the moment, hopefully they keep going up like that. That's all we want. But they gave
At some point you need to get to where you're turning us down because we're not big enough.
we would never do that. I think it's safe to say that we would never do that. We're so humble and know where. But it depends.
We might have some preconditions next time.
But those guys believed in us the same way we believe in Rich and Adam and in what they've given us to work with. If they give us vanilla beige, then we can't really do much with it. It takes two to tango, or in this case, 5, 6 to tango. It takes. It's a two-way street, and they give so much with their direction.
It's less of a tango, more of a chorus.
Yeah, it's more like a hoedown.
Well, thank you so much, all three of you, for coming in and sitting down with us and talking about this film. The film is Feed Me. By the time you watch this, you'll be able to watch the movie, and we'll give you all the information about how to do that. Thank you so much. Cheers on all the success.
Thank you for having us.
Beyond Fest.
Thank
And
you.
hope to see you here for Feed Me 2, which...
Yeah, we need to speak about that. Feed Me 2 needs to happen.
I can die as many times as you want.
every horror film, there's got to be a sequel. So,
Awesome.
cheers.
Namaste.
Thanks so much, guys.
No, thank you.